front. Now we're going to see a little four-wide action. Crazy out of the trail.
Oh, he gets in the lead on the record.
3x3 entering four.
3-2. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega.
Hello everybody and welcome into PGR Money Racing Live with the 2023 Fall Brawl. Getting ready for all the action here at Talladega Superspeedway. Joining me in the booth tonight, we got two co-hosts, Dawson Wise and Matthew Baker. Matthew Baker going to be mostly on race control, but he will still be tuning in. And then Dawson Wise is going to be the co-commentator tonight. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Austin. Glad to be back with you. A little bit of an audible call tonight, but hey, I could not miss this one, man. This is going to be a great race.
Certainly is, and we'll get things ready to go here as the drivers getting ready to roll off the grid. A lot of money on the line here tonight. That's really the headline of this whole race. Everything else going to be similar to what we're used to seeing. So on that note, let's go ahead and get right into your starting grid here tonight. Looks like we'll go ahead and get some things sorted out with SDK here, so give me just a moment. And as we do so here, we are going to take a quick break while these guys get rolling. Give us just about 30 seconds. All right, and a little bit of issues with the scoring, it looks like, for SDK, but nonetheless, we'll go ahead and get things rolling off here with your starting grid tonight. Kevin Freeze will line up on the pole. It's going to be Jason Maines to his outside in second. Put Alex Hill back in third, second. Jason in third. Zachary Lima back in fourth. It's going to be Steve Korsek lining up in fifth. Cody Nagel's back in sixth. Nash Brambilla in seventh. Garrett Maines eighth. Kenneth Stamper in ninth. And David Sheets rounding out your top 10.
Row 6 will be Kenny McCullough and Sean Corbett. Row 7, Daniel Eberhardt and Jeff Merck. Row 8 will be Devin Ray and J.R. Miller. Row 9, Mark Mondell and Sierra Clampert. And round out the top 20 will be Ryan Baste and Dustin Carruthers.
John Darnell will start 21st. It's going to be Michael Matta, another new driver in the field tonight, will start 22nd. Mike Davenport back in 23rd. Terry Radford, broadcaster for a lot of the professional series, he's in here tonight, will roll off 24th. William Fox 25th with Ron Morris Jr. in 26th. Levi Shipp 27th. John Moho 28th. Cole Fitzpatrick 29th. And rounding out the top 30 is going to be William Ranstone, Jonathan Herbert 31st, Brandon Broadfoot 32nd, Andrew Navarro 33rd, Logan York 34th, Chris Parkman 35th, and we got a whole bunch more. We'll get through them in just a moment because here we go. Rolling into the Geico Restart Zone for the first time here tonight. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Talladega.
Lap 1 complete. Lap 2 on the board. Kevin Freeze, Alex Hill leading the lines. Freeze up in front of Jason Maines in the 1. So that outside lane got a lot of disorganization there in 3 and 4, but on the bottom now they are starting to roll. Nash Brambilla, huge push to the back of Alex Hill down the super stretch. Here we go. Freeze versus Hill drag race. Look at how hard they are pushing already here on lap 2.
Yeah, and Alex Hill currently controlling the inside in the 77. Kevin Freeze on his outside. A lot of pushing up front. The further back you go, if you want to make progress, you're going to have to take it up top, try to go to that third lane. But we do have a couple of the Dale Cup teammates lined up on the outside just behind Jason Maines. That's Zachary Lima and Steve Korsek. Steve actually rocking a new scheme here tonight. Look for those two to think about making it 3 wide early. We're starting to get a little bit of a break in the packs here as they roar through the tri-oval. Looks like further back, Ron Morris Jr. finds himself split 3 wide. Andrew Navarro is going to take him to the inside and will let Ron Morris jump back down in line.
Yeah, a bit of a second pack. Now that second pack starting to make some more ground up. This first pack, you can tell just how hard they're pushing it compared to the second group. Very long race tonight, 60 laps, but apparently that first pack, they've got different things on their mind. They want to go and go now, and no surprise with the guys up here that they're doing so, but the second pack now back incorporated. We're all back 2 wide. Most of the way back, still Ron Morris hung out on the top for some reason, but lockstep here at the front of the field. Freeze and Maines doing a great job controlling the line so far as Alex Hill, Zachary Lima trying to get their line going in the right direction.
And we didn't get to display the starting lineup the way we normally do tonight due to a couple issues with the overlay, but nonetheless, we'll go through it the old-fashioned way. Look at the weather outside here tonight. Or excuse me, let's start with weather. Yeah, we'll start with weather outside. 75 degrees, track temp 76, so handling shouldn't be too much of an issue. Clear skies, 54% humidity. Winds at 8 miles an hour, just a little bit more than what we're used to seeing. Again, though, don't think it'll be an issue for these guys. A little bit of a different time that we're racing here. As you see, sim time, it is only 8 in the morning. And as we're going to see Zachary Lima split 3 wide now, all of a sudden things are going to get chaotic. Oh, we got one turned in the back, trying to save it. Back up into the field goes William Ransone in the 6 truck. Multiple trucks are going to slide towards the inside wall. Caution is out. And everybody looks like they're going to be able to get rolling, get away from this one. Looked like Logan York may be involved. John Darnell maybe gets the worst of it here as he's got smoke coming out of the back of the 99 machine. And yeah, he's going to have to take a fast spare on that one for sure. And you saw a couple different guys get out of shape. Boy, Dawson, I'll tell you what, before we break that down, that was one of the oddest things. It almost looked like the third line was in complete sync. Like, it just seemed like everybody jumped up from the middle to the top all at the exact same time.
I'll tell you what, I think it got that line out of shape, too. I think just it confused some of the guys to the back. It looked very confusing to me, too. It took me a second. I was wondering exactly what those guys were doing up front, but it affected the back clearly. And Ransone, yeah, it's just kind of the wrong place, wrong time as those lines come together. And just an unfortunate incident. But, man, what a weird look up front.
Yeah, it certainly was here. And trying to get a little bit of a better angle on exactly how Ransone first gets hooked out of line before we see the chaos ensue. And actually, I thought the wreck was going to spark from up front. I'll show you why here as we go back to the, I think it's TV1 here, TV2 cam. And watch, as you see, there you go. We had one get into the wall. That looks like it was Jeff Merck maybe in the 60. But then back here is where the chaos is actually going to all occur. And if we go back to that chopper view one more time, the 6 car right in the middle of your screen, the black, yellow, and white machine for William Ransone. There he is running the middle. See, looks like Andrew Navarro going by up top trying to push, and then can't figure out who that is up top. I'm not sure. Was that the 6 machine? Can't tell from that view. And either way, looks like William Ransone, once he makes that contact, gets turned back up into the field trying to save it, and then the wreck's just on from there. This is going to collect quite a bit of trucks here, as everybody just trying to scatter to miss it. Boy, I think that was Christopher McCall who did a nice job of getting through that one. We talk about these wrecks, the bigger the field, the harder it is to get through the wrecks, and we had over 40 trucks here tonight, so this was a tough one to try to navigate through. And nonetheless, looked like John Darnell certainly got the worst of it as he slid down towards that inside safer barrier.
Yeah, it's just one of those that kind of, it accordions back through the field, and unfortunately for Ransone, Darnell, and others, just you can see how much one move up front can affect the field at the back, at the very tail end of the field, and just an unfortunate deal, and not the start you want in a race like this. Man, 5 laps in, and you're already, for Darnell, utilizing a fast repair. That's not ideal for the driver of the 99. No,
it certainly isn't. As we go back live, how about the man that it looks like is up front, usually a broadcaster, but he is here trying to win himself some money tonight. It's Terry Radford with a great run early, finds himself leading with 6 laps complete at Talladega, and he is one of the guys carrying a driver cam for us here tonight, so we'll give him a little bit of a shout-out And there you go. As we move on back, Brandon Broadfoot, another one of the maybe dark horse picks, finds himself currently sitting in second place. He's up 30 positions from where he started. And Levi Ship, third. Michael Triscaro, fourth. I'm telling you, Dawson, every single driver right now in your top four is up over 20 positions from where they started this race at. How about some of the underdogs trying to get to the front early?
Well, it's the only choice you have, and no surprise for Michael Triscaro, right? That he just goes off strategy, comes to the front. Now is going to try to run up front with some of the heavy hitters up here and try to keep the track position. And you hear it time after time after time after time from guys that win these races. The track position is just so key, and that it's the only way these guys get up front and are able to win. So for a guy like Terry Radford, I mean, Terry knows what to do in these situations, but for Broadfoot, Ship, Triscaro, that's exactly what they're doing. They want to get up front, have options, be able to control the flow of the race and say, if you know what, if you want to go win this race, you're going to have to go through me.
And a couple of the other guys that we have carrying driver camps for us here tonight. We just took a look at Michael Triscaro. Here's Trevor Osmernoth for KSR Racing. We know that he has won in the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series before, but is yet to win a major event. Could get the job done here tonight if he's able to capture a win in the 2023 Fall Brawl. And then, as always, one of the fan favorites, Tony Cox, still looking for his first win. We see him in RMR, and we see him here in PGR. He is our final driver carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. Tony, we certainly appreciate it. Appreciate all these guys that give us a little bit of extra insight. We'll be taking different views of those throughout the broadcast. But talking about the rest of the race format that we didn't get to go over at the start, it was 60 laps here tonight. So everybody's got 60% fuel. That'll put them right about, I'm going to say, somewhere right around 20 laps on fuel. So this is going to be close still on whether or not this is a two-stop from here. We'll keep tabs on that as we go on. Everybody, as always, unlimited tires, that one crucial factor that you need to save. But the big thing, Dawson, is those payouts here tonight. $500 guaranteed to the winner of this race. In second through six, still over, I believe, $1,500 worth of total purse between those top six.
It's the biggest individual winning payout for PGR since the SummerSlam race, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's a lot on the line tonight for the guy who can win. And granted, you said it, $1,500 top six. Man, you look up when you're in the top six and you think, oh, well, I wish I could have gotten the lead. I want that $500. And you're going to see very quickly here what some guys are willing to do to be able to get up there and get into the spot where they can win this $500. You're going to see guys make moves you might not see them make in other kinds of races.
And the question is, how early do you make those moves? I think we're seeing the underdogs making it early. And Dawson, I like that approach because we know that sometimes these races tend to get a little out of hand, a little chaotic. So get yourself to the front. Make sure you can keep the truck clean. And if you find yourself anywhere in the top 10 at the end of this race, I think you got a great chance at going for the win and a chance of getting yourself $500 at the end of the night. Daniel Eberhardt starting to make some noises. It looks like he has moved his way inside the top 15. You better believe we are going to see that combo of the six. Cody Nagels, Jeff Merck, Alex Hill just in front of him, all trying to work to the front as well. Different paint scheme on Cody Nagels tonight. Good looking truck for him as we get ready to go back green. Pace truck's going to make the hard left turn on the inside. Terry Radford will lead him back to green on the outside. Brandon Broadfoot. Here we go back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air.
Oh, this is a weird, almost discombobulated restart for the bottom line, man. Levi Ship nowhere close to Terry Radford here. He's going to have to hit him here on the entry to one. If they have any shot of staying up front, the outside line. Got a really good restart. Oh, man, they are already all over the back of Brandon Broadfoot. You can see that truck waving back and forth in the middle of the corner. There goes D3. Eberhardt to the outside. Hill to the outside. Mains to the outside. Already three wide on the super stretch.
Yeah, everybody trying to take advantage of just how wide this 2.65-mile super speedway is. Three wide drag race. Now Broadfoot gets out of line. Four wide. Is it going to work? Steve Korsek on the third lane gets a big push from Cody Nagels. That puts Michael Triscaro in a bad spot. Now Lima gets out of line. Triscaro's going to save it. They'll go back down to three, make it four wide again, as now it's going to be Alex Hill who gets left out of line. Oh my goodness, how about the chaos out of turn number 4?
How about the driver for Dale Cup, Steve Karosik? Aggression early on, lap number 8. We're so used to seeing it out of him. He makes it work right there. That's one of the more aggressive ones we've ever seen. They're going to jump right back out again. Karosik, Nagels, Triscaro on a warpath here on lap 9. Move the 27 to the race lead for a moment. Here comes Bradfoot and Radford back to them on the bottom, though.
Watch out, Ken McCall Jr. gave a big shot to Jason Maines in the middle. Looked like they were going to start to make some progress. Steve Korsak saw that. He will now drop down to the middle, and that's going to leave a lane open up top for Cody Nagels. How about the job, though? Terry Bradford's doing. He's going to get split. Makes a little bit of a tough decision. Looks like Steve's going to help him out, but we're wrecking big out back. Huge wreck. Multiple trucks involved. Caution is back out for the second time here tonight.
Holy cow, we got one upside down. I think J.R. Miller went for a barrel roll there in the grass.
And trying to locate, I mean, we got trucks scattered all the way from the entrance of 3 to the exit of 4 here, and looks like J.R. Miller was able to get back on all 4. And that looked like it all started from up front, and we know that when you get things that start going on up front, it causes stack-ups out back, and it looks like eventually a stack-up is what is going to cause this one. Let's go back and take a look. As I'm looking at the list here, Dawson, I think we may have had more trucks, or excuse me, less trucks get out of this than trucks that were actually, or excuse me, we had less trucks escape this than not. I mean, this one took out just about everybody. And let's take a look here. Back this all the way up. In fact, I want to get a bigger angle of this one here. So we'll go to the blimp cam first here and see if this gives us anything. And it looked to me like up front is where it may have started, in the sense of I saw Terry Radford making some moves. I think he was maybe trying to jump out here and make another move to go to the front. And it was a good move, but some of these guys not used to racing with Terry and maybe at first weren't going to cut him some slack. Looked like they did, but here we go from the chopper view. So you see Terry is currently the second truck on that inside line. He sees the run starting to come from Cody Nagel, so he jumps out, and actually he's clear. It's a pretty good block. Jason sees it, lets up a little bit here, but I think Cody gives him a little bit of a shot. Didn't look bad. It looked pretty square, but it got Terry a little out of shape. That causes everybody to get out of gas. You see all the fire out of the pipes, and then it correlates all the way to the back here where J.R. Miller and company was running. And it looked to me like J.R. may have been the first guy involved in this. Here we go. The stack up, yeah, there you go. J.R. gets turned from behind by, it looks like Devin Ray from the stack up effect. And when he goes down here, he's going to turn. It looks like David Sheets back up the track, and it's on from here. There goes Navarro, Cole Fitzpatrick, Ryan Baste. I mean, this one collected just about everybody.
A lot of big names in this one, too. You mentioned Navarro, Carruthers, as well as Mullahan, several others, Brock Westmoreland. Some of the guys we're used to seeing at the front just got unlucky enough to be running back there when that stack up happened. And man, for Navarro and J.R. Miller, that's big damage to their trucks. That's a few trucks now, only 10 laps in, that just have pretty much unfixable damage. You got to use that fast burn in a race like this. Man, it just what a terrible start, especially for a guy like Andrew Navarro, who you know is going to come back up and run at the front. You know he's going to be back up front, but now you got to be a little bit more careful, and that wasn't in the cards for a lot of these guys this early.
No, it wasn't, but we know we're going to get that kind of aggression here at these big events. But how about right at the end? This was a pretty odd situation. I don't know if you saw this, Dawson, but you noted J.R. Miller getting upside down. They came to just about a stop, and then it looks like Andrew Navarro kind of turns him up and just kind of keeps pushing him until he pushes him back over. Haven't quite seen something like that before, but certainly an interesting look, and we'll take a couple more views here. I want to take a ride on board with two guys to this one. First one being J.R. Miller, as he got the blunt of this one. Fair to say probably the worst of it. See him trying to check up, gets turned around into David Sheets, and we know usually what goes down here is going to slide back up eventually. And then here we go. As they all just about come to a stop, it's going to get turned upside down. And I did see, it looked like Tony Cox may have been involved in this one. Not sure how bad the damage that he sustained from it was, but here's a view for John Darnell as sees all the chaos in front. Is going to get on the brakes here, looking for a gap, trying to find it while staying on the brakes. And guess what? The C's part. John Darnell splits it. Wow, that was a crazy view. He had to miss probably about 12 different trucks through all of that, but he does so, and that looked like something had a days of thunder. Oh my goodness. So as we go back up front, looks like 11 of 60 laps complete here at Talladega. Zachary Lima being scored as your leader. He's got his wingman. Steve Korsak back in second for a second. I almost got him and Cody mixed up. They both got similar paint schemes here tonight. And there is Cody Nagel going to line up third, so Steve will take the outside as his teammate picks the inside. And how about going on back to third now? Michael Matta in the 16 machine gets up here, and it looks like, from what we're hearing in chat, this may have been as another result from somehow finding a way to miss this wreck. So we'll go back and actually take one more look. 16 dives low. They all start wrecking, and they all just go past him again. Not sure how he misses this, but because he does miss it, maybe a little contact there, it puts him in great track position as he finds himself in the top 5 with 12 laps complete.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunistic type of race, that's what these races are. And now you find yourself in a really great spot if you're the 16. Now, the unfortunate part is he's got some teammates around him here, so he's got to be careful. Just kind of ride where he's at. Don't make too big a move here. You got teams around you here, I'm sure. And if you're the 16, you just, push for now, ride. You're in a great spot running fourth. And if he can maintain this track position, definitely going to be a factor in this race. And man, how much of an achievement would that be in his first start? What a heck of a debut that would be.
Still, we've only seen it once so far in PGR Series history, but it wasn't in a major event. Remember, Chris Parkman a couple of weeks ago made what looked like the impossible happen as he got the job done and got the win. But speaking of being conservative, one guy that I don't think we've saw be conservative at all, and I don't think is going to be conservative, is Terry Radford. Now, the only problem is he finds himself back in 16th position now. We saw him making a lot of moves to the front. He's got some really aggressive and really talented drivers around him there. You see Alex Hill, Ryan Baste, John Mullihan, Dylan Jones, Jeff Merck, Michael Triscaro. I mean, the list goes on and on, so I think we'll see him back in the front pretty soon. But again, you just got to give a shout out to all these guys that we're seeing at the front that either first race or one of their few. How about Levi Shipp back there third on the inside? He's got a Coke Series driver behind him, but he looks nice and comfortable and looks like he's going to continue to ride for now and let things develop. And that pit stop looks like now is going to be a solid two-stop strategy as we have completed 12. Going to be 13 laps once we cross the line, and we will see what happens from here. Will they fan out or will they calm it down? Here we go.
I'm going to say they're going to keep it going as aggressive as they've been so far. I don't see that changing anytime soon, and we're going to have to see in the restart zone. Green flag's going to go back in the air. We're back underway, and the Dale Cup teammates race off towards turn number 1. How about Michael Matta pushing the 27 right out to the race lead here into turn number 1. 27's going to get about a half truck length on his teammate. Runs a little bit high, allows his teammate to come back into the fight here. They're going to be double wide onto the super stretch for the first time. Does anybody go 3 wide, or do we run lockstep for a while? Let's see.
Well, he may not be used to being in this position, but it's always best to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's exactly what Kevin Freese is going to force the 16 to do right now. Pushing hard on his back bumper. That's going to be a 3-truck tandem side by side down the back straightaway. It's not enough to get Steve Corset clear. Cody Nagels was able to hold Zachary Lima dead even on the bottom. So as they stay even through turns 3 and 4, we start to go a little bit further back, and we got some disorganization, and that has caused a little bit of 3-wide action further back. Sierra Clamper, it looks like she is trying to make her way to the front. Looked like she was starting to get a little bit of help from Christopher McCall, Danny Esterman, but they quickly are going to bail out, and so now she'll have to drop back down in line, but up front, still side by side with the Dale Cup teammates.
Yeah, and Matta doing an excellent job. You said he looked comfortable on that restart, man. Look at this. Kevin Freese is not making this easy on him at all. He is all over the back bumper of the 16. You can see the 16's moving around, but staying right locked to the back bumper of the 27. Looking good so far, and you got to think everybody around him, they're taking note of that for later, for sure. If you're Michael Matta, you're making some friends up here right now with just how comfortable you are pushing, how comfortable you are being the second in line, getting pushed from behind by Kevin Freese, and he's doing a great job so far. Everybody's still 2x2 for now. Third line's looking further back. It looks like maybe it might be Terry Radford again.
Yeah, and I want to make a little bit of a side note here real quick. This kind of goes for all the mains boys, but especially Kevin Freese. As talented as these guys are, we know because we've seen it before, when they get behind someone that they're not used to being, they'll stay patient for a little bit. They'll kind of try to feel it out, see what that person can do, because they have the mindset of you never know who can be your ally late in this race. And by Kevin Freese sticking with the 16, he's learning what the 16 can do, and maybe the 16 will help the 25 later. But right now it's going to be Daniel Eberhard leading that top line. You saw Jason Maines jump out once he got the run. Eberhard followed, and now we're seeing a lot of fishtail, a lot of side drafting, and a lot of movement in all 3 lanes as Garrett's going to jump up top. The bottom fades back about 2 truck lengths, but how about the run from the 77 to 1 and the 90 trying to get to the lead up top?
I was just going to say, what just an incredible run to the front in no time. Oh, maybe a little door check there between Eberhard and Lima. Some contact as Eberhard runs the 4 way down. He knows that inside line is clear, so he's going to run the 4 down as far as he can here, force him to be a little bit uncomfortable, and that includes the 16 of Matta, who's in this situation. Trouble. Around goes Levi Shipp. He gets turned around, but I think he's going to get it back going on the apron.
And going back, yeah, he does. Can't tell if he hit the inside wall. Oh, man. That's a tough break. We were talking just about how good the 9 had been doing so far here tonight. In his first start, Levi doesn't look like he's got any damage. So he'll be able to get back on, maybe just a little scrape on the left side, but that won't affect him. We'll go back and take a look at this here in a minute, because right now we got to go up front. It is hectic. It's chaotic. And these guys look like they are on the verge of disaster. Still 3x3 as we're going to enter the back straightaway. It's Daniel Eberhard up top, trying to see if he can make some more headway. Actually, he went to the front straightaway. Jason Maines just behind. Zachary Lima still leading the middle with his teammate. And how about the 16 now of Michael Matta? He's going to poke a nose out in front at Talladega.
Yeah, good for Michael Matta. This is a great moment for him. I'm sure he sees the clean air now, pokes the nose out front, getting some great help from one of the better pushers in the field tonight, Cody Nagels. He's going to clear it all the way to the lead. Now here's the ultimate test for Michael Matta. Does he know what to do here? Does he go up in front of Lima? Nope, going to stay parked right in front of the 6 of Cody Nagels. That's going to allow Lima right back into this battle in the 4. And lucky for these guys up front, it calms down a little bit. But for a moment there, Lima threw a block last time by on the back straightaway that I thought for sure was not going to work. I thought the timer had exploded on the ticking time bomb up here at the front of the field, but nonetheless they get through it. Everybody back down to 2 wide. Now they're saying, all right, let's just take a breath, make some more laps, and then we'll go at it a little bit later.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be that way. And I mean, hey, if you're Michael Matta, you can kind of afford to just sit on the bottom here. Now, Zachary Lima does clear, but, you know, Dawson, we talk about controlling lanes. Oh, we got one turned out back. It's Terry Radford. Big hit into the inside wall. 2 around. Mark Vondell, more collected. Caution is back out for the 3rd time here tonight. And this one's going to get McCall Motorsports, Terry Radford, and a couple others. Man, Radford took a huge hit. The left front suspension. Well, that 21 machine is totaled. And that's going to be a fast repair for him tonight. His one and only. There's the head shake. He is not too happy about it. And let's go back and take a look at exactly just what happens here. All right, so you see Mark Vondell and Terry Radford at this point had already been collected. And what in the world? Well, we'll break that down in just a moment. This was 2 separate wrecks. This might be the wildest thing I have ever seen here. Let's back this up even further. I thought the flip for J.R. Miller earlier was crazy, but here we go. Watch this. So Mark Vondell's actually the first one to get turned out of line. And, yeah, just a little bit of a stack-up is certainly what it looks like here. Watch the bottom. Play that for you one more time. You see he's got the 8 in front. John Darnell just in front of him. And, yeah, it's a stack up here. And Mark Vondell's going to get some help from behind by the 01. I believe that might be Logan York. The 8 was Chris Parkman, who is back in the field tonight. Yeah, Logan York. So Mark gets sent down to the grass. And then actually you see up top, that ends up translating to Terry Radford getting turned as looks like Chris Parkman gets out of shape from the bump that he receives from all the contact between the 01 and the 59. So that sends him up into Terry Radford. And so as Mark Vondell comes down here, Mark probably thinking he's okay. He's going to miss this. All of a sudden, boom, there's the 21 out of nowhere because he got turned. So they end up making what was probably going to be maybe a harmless wreck for the 59, maybe a save by the 21 as well, turn into a 2-truck kind of melee, if you will. That was a huge hit for both guys. And then we still had a couple others involved in this one as it stood. You see the 8 there, Chris Parkman. He's going to go for a couple 360s, it looks like. As once he gets hit up, just nothing you can do. William Ransone looks like he got pretty significant damage. But, man, that is such a big hit. I mean, have you ever seen something like that, Dawson?
Well, I'll tell you what I saw, and no, I really haven't. It really was weird, 2 wrecks at once. But I'll tell you what I think started it. I think when Zach Lima turned left to go down in front of Michael Matta, he was so far out in front of him that by the time he got back to him, I think it stacked the bottom lineup, and I think that's what started the contact between Vondell and York. It just kind of accordioned its way back, and the checkup didn't quite get to Logan York in time. He didn't quite get the memo, and that tends to happen when you're 13th, 14th in line, but just one of those where something happens. You don't quite have time to react, and all of a sudden, like you said, what seemed to be something harmless turns into a pretty intense wreck with those 2 trucks.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Vondell, we just saw the cockpit view. He had absolutely no idea that it was coming, so it probably shocked him just a little bit, then gave Terry Radford a ton of damage as well, as he was still running probably about full speed. And luckily, it somehow manages to only collect 3 trucks, as most of the wrecks we've had tonight have collected a lot more than that. So back up front, it is William Fox in the 76 machine. Good-looking truck for him tonight. Actually, excuse me, the 761 machine. He is now leading at Talladega, as we have completed a 3rd of this race. Garrett Maines back in 2nd. No surprise, but good to see Garrett out here tonight. And he is still looking to see if he can capture a win here in the PGR, one of the major events. And maybe tonight could be his night. He always runs good. Just going to need a little bit of luck on his side. There's Kevin Freese back in 3rd. Steve Korsak in 4th. And Daniel Eberhardt currently rounding out your top 5. Alex Hill back in 6th. Jason Maines 7th. Michael Matta in 8th. Kenneth Stamper 9th. And Jeff Merck rounding out your top 10.
Well, it shuffles the field a little bit again, and track position becomes an issue now for some of the guys we saw running at the front of the field, most notably to me. Cody Nagel's 11th here. Zach Lima way back in the field. Not sure what happened there, but he's no longer up here at the front with these guys either. So track position becoming an issue for guys that we just saw at the front. It flips your entire strategy on its head in a race like this. You saw how hard it is to get to the front now, but then again, when you get help like Daniel Eberhard had, he now runs up front thanks to Alex Hill and Jason Maines, and they got up front in a hurry. So if you can get the right help, you can get back up here. It just takes a little bit to make it happen.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Couple announcements here before we get ready to go back green, assuming we get the one to go this time. PGR Thursday Night Heat Series will be returning again next Thursday, but it'll be more of a throwback race. No major event, so the entry fee will be a lot cheaper if you want to get yourself in. Go ahead. There will still be a lot of money on the line, but we got to crown a champion here tonight. And then the NOMA Truck Series coming up on Saturday. Next place I head here on Ghost Racing Network. And we appreciate you, of course, Dawson, for doing Tuesday Night Thunder just a couple days ago. And the big event coming up here, and I believe it might be just about 2 weeks from now. I know it's on December 10th. McCall Motorsports is putting on, I believe it's called the American 500. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, this is already sold out. But the broadcast going to be over on LSR TV. That is not a race you want to miss. I'm sad myself that I'm not going to be in it. But nonetheless, I'm going to try to catch some of it if I can. Make sure you go get yourself in on that one. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it will. It features a lot of the same field as I had in my 500-mile race that I got to call a couple of weeks ago on the Thanksgiving weekend, the Gobble Gobble 500. If anybody caught that race, a lot of the field in that race is the same as the field you're going to see in that American 500, so make sure to take that one in. Our 500-mile race was incredible. I cannot imagine that one's going to be anything less than a must-see event in a couple weeks.
And I believe, even though Baker's race control, we should still have him in here, and let's see if we do. Baker, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're watching from the tower tonight. How you feeling about what we've seen so far?
The racing's been great, really aggressive, but just some big checkups that have been happening, and that causes it to stack up towards the middle of the field. And once that happens, you get 20 cars piled in. I mean, there's been some spectacular wrecks that we've seen tonight. Not what we want to see, but it's definitely enjoyable to watch.
Certainly is. All right, here we go. We go back down trackside now with the field getting ready to go back green. Mark Vondel had some damage and was in the pits for a little while, but looks like he got out and is currently back on track, but he doesn't find himself on the lead lap, so definitely going to need a caution or two from here on out in order to have a chance of getting that lap back. But 21 laps complete. It's going to be 22 when we cross the start-finish line. Again, still in play here for what looks to be one more green flag pit stop if we can make it to right around the lap 40 mark. But with the aggression we've seen so far, Dawson, I just don't know if we're going to see that. We're getting ready to find out. Here we go. Back into the Geico restart zone. 2x2. William Fox, Garrett Maines. Green flag is back in the air.
Nope, we're going to halt it. There was some trouble further back. I think David Sheets got around. It was a checkup at the back of the field, so believe we're going to at least go one more. I can't tell if we got it in time to just do one more lap, if we're going to do a whole caution, but it looks to be just another extra lap of yellow flag here.
Yeah, David Sheets certainly did get turned around here. Let's back this up and see what happens. This looks like it collects a few of them. My goodness. So here we go. Pace truck's going to pull off. Watch the outside line. You see they start to catch up. Looks like that's the 9. And, oh, no, this is actually in front of the 9. I take that back. Man, we had a couple of stack-up wrecks right here. The big one is going to be the one. Let's actually take a different angle on this one here if we can. All right, so here you go. Watch in front of David Sheets in the one about 5 truck lengths up. See Ken McCall Jr. and just behind Ken, there's a little bit of a stack up, and there you go. Christopher McCall, Andrew Navarro, that's where the stack up really starts to get huge. And the 45 of, looks like Sean Corbett just wasn't able to check up in time, gets in the back of David Sheets, sends him into the outside wall, and that will do more damage than you would expect. Been there before. That is not a fun situation. Sheets rightfully probably not too happy. And then as kind of a secondary result of that, looks like the 9, who's having such a good night, is also going to get turned around, and he makes some contact to the rear end of David Sheets. So both of those trucks going to get some front-end damage. And I'm not sure if they'll go in for repairs, but I can bet you that both of those drivers are probably not too happy right now, as you never want that to happen as a driver, especially when you're getting ready for a restart and things are supposed to be clean. And then there you see, it looks like Mark Vondel was able to sneak by just fine. So they will continue on. But as we go back up front, looks like they've gotten things all back to organize, and we should be getting ready to go back green here. It looks like, yeah, we got the one to go coming out of 4.
Yeah, it'll still be William Fox, who I gotta imagine that shook up his focus a little bit right there, but nonetheless, he's going to be the control truck on this restart in front of Kevin Freeze, topside mains, and then it looks like Steve Karosik, and watch out for those guys row 3 on back. You know Alex Hill's not going to ride for very long in the 77, and the guys behind him as well. You got some guys up top that are absolutely going to be willing to come to the front right here. Here we go once again. Lap 23 going to go on the board. William Fox in the 761 for the first time tonight has the lead in this big event. In the restart zone, green flag is up. And here we go once again. Up through the gears comes the 761. And what a great restart. Maybe too good a restart here off into one.
Yeah, this is the one track where we always say you don't want to get a good restart because it just bites you on the back end. As you see, Garrett Maines is going to start to poke a nose out in front. Remember, that outside is going to probably have an advantage. But Kevin Freeze, he's a heck of a pusher. We'll see. Can he hold William Fox up front here on the bottom? He's not going to be able to do it. Garrett Maines will get clear. He's going to pull Steve Korsak. This outside is absolutely rolling. Alex Hill trying to see if he can get clear as well. Further back, everybody scrambling for position as Jeff Merck looks like he thought about maybe ducking to the outside. Quickly jumps back down the line behind Michael Matta. And so they will stay 2 by 2. Garrett Maines, though, going to get left out on that outside line. Alex Hill looking to make a move, makes a big one. Steve Korsak with an even bigger block. He's able to hold off the 77, but that's going to cause a stack up that's starting to cause more chaos out back.
Oh boy, that was definitely a weird incident right there. Almost a weird incident behind the leaders. It was all because of that move by Karosik and Alex Hill. Good grief, Alex Hill. How in the world did he pull that one off in front of Garrett Maines? I don't know if Garrett cut him any slack right there or if it was just that razor thin. I'm not really sure. I'll tell you somebody else that made a big move on the restart. That was Daniel Eberhard. He filled a gap I did not think was there. Managed to get all the way up into the middle line behind Garrett Maines, and now all of a sudden D3 looking good now. Oh, here we go. Here goes Jason and Garrett Maines to the bottom. They're going to do the same thing they just saw the 27 and 77 do last time by, but this time though, not as much help. Down comes Karosik to block.
And I'm still trying to figure out how Korsak made that one block work to the outside. It almost looked like he got 1.5 blocks off. And we always say you get one, but you don't get two here at Super Speedways. Steve, one of the best at it, though, and found a way to make it work. And as a result, he is able to maintain himself in the lead, and you see just how much work in the lanes he has to do. The 77 started to get hot, so he's got to drop down here to try to hold off Garrett Maines in this line. But once they start to get hot, he's going to have to hope he can get back up. He gets clear. I think now is when we see him jump up as they enter the back straightaway. If he doesn't then I think he's going to stay down for another while. And no move yet from the 27. Looks like he's actually going to stay down in front of Garrett Maines. A little bit of a stack up out back. Everybody trying to save it. Looks like Kevin Freeze had to get on the brakes real quick right there to stay off the back bumper of William Fox. That creates a little bit of separation on the bottom. And the further back you go in this field, the more it looks like everybody's starting to try to back off. A lot of trucks, Dawson, have already had to use their fast spur. Do you think that's contributing to some of the spacing?
Absolutely, just because of the racing we're seeing up front, the stack-ups especially, I think that have caused incidents already tonight. I think that's just contributing to the way these guys are racing, and it just makes you race a little bit more conservative. And honestly, it's not a bad thing. You still got a pit stop coming at some point in the latter end of this race, so I don't think that's a bad choice. I really don't. If you've exhausted your fast spare, just ride around, don't stress, and do the stressing later. Karosik, though, man, he's not stressing much either, but it's only because he's been able to just make enough moves where he's got all the options here at the front. He goes again in front of Daniel Eberhard. Goes back to the lead. Karosik, he looks very, very sharp tonight.
Yeah, he certainly does, as always does Dale Cup, but he's looking for his wingman now. Zachary Lima can't find him, still trying to see where he's at. And you got to go pretty far back, all the way to 35th place. And it looks to me like Zachary Lima may be playing the conservative card right now. Doesn't have any teammates to necessarily get back up there. But with the amount of aggression that we still see up front, these guys have another chance to wreck, but if we get closer to that pit stop, that's where you can get caught in trouble here if you are not with this lead pack. And speaking of this lead pack, let's go back here a little bit further. In fact, let's go all the way from the back up and talk about what we're looking at through the field. There's Mark Vondell, who was involved in that earlier incident between him and Terry Radford. Terry Radford actually just in front of Mark, and looks like Terry's being scored a lap down. Mark Vondell being scored 2 laps down. And then David Sheets, the last man on the lead lap, but has lost the pack. Not sure if that was from damage or something else. You see Levi Ship, who was having a good night earlier, right now finds himself towards the back with John Darnell. Trevor Osroth back in 38th. William Ransone in 37th. Mike Davenport in 36th. Another duo up here. Looks like it's Lima and J.R. Miller. Brock Westmoreland in the field tonight. And now this lead pack, you can see it is tight back up, and we got a lot of cars in it. How about Mike Bearden? Haven't talked about him tonight. But the 3 truck's been silently just kind of creeping in the footsteps. He's up 14 from where he started. A long race to go as he has Tony Cox, Jonathan Herbert just behind him. Almost halfway now at Talladega.
Almost a big moment about halfway back. Kenny Stamper blinked for a moment, came back, and they were 4 wide in the middle of the trial. But luckily, everybody just stays calm and gets through it. That's a really wide part of the racetrack. We're able to get through it. Third line working contact between Karosik and Garrett Maines. How did they both keep it together? I have no idea. It looked like Karosik started to follow his I don't know, ally partner, if you will, Alex Hill here tonight down the racetrack. And, man, we somehow stay 3 wide as Merck, Eberhardt, Maines up on the top side trying to make it work up top shelf, but now it's starting to fade as they come off turn number 4.
And I don't know how long they can make this work as Terry Radford looks like has towed it to the pits. Not sure if he had an incident. Certainly looks like he did. We'll have to go back and take a look at that in just a moment as we'll go back live now. But, you know, I'll tell you what. Dawson, we didn't used to see this in money racing. I mean, me and you have been around here for a little bit on the scene for money racing. It used to be when guys knew they had pit stops in a race, there was none of this. Right now, we would see single and maybe double file racing throughout the whole pack until we got to the pit stop. But what is it that has changed the idea of making these guys want to go 3 wide every single lap for 60 laps of a race?
Track position. I think it's very simple. If you keep track position, you're going to be up front late, even after a pit stop. It's even leading up to the pit stop, you want to be as close to front as you can. You want to come out as close to front as you possibly can, and that's what these guys are trying to do by running 3 wide. Actually, Michael Matta had jumped out there to lead the third line, although it started to fade. It was a big move when they came off turn number 4, and somehow he made it work. They are starting to fade backwards now. Matta trying to find a place in line, and man, where did Logan York come from? We saw him involved in a wreck earlier in the race. He's pushing Karosik in the middle now all of a sudden.
Yeah, Logan loves to push. He can do a heck of a job at it to the 0-1. Doing a nice job right now in the back bumper of Steve Korsak, trying to push him out to the lead. We saw Logan York come so close a couple times here. Hasn't worked out just yet, but man, if tonight could be his night, $500 would be a heck of a payoff. Oh, big wiggle right there from William Fox. He was able to catch it. Kevin Freeze had to cut him a little slack, and you can see Logan York, he's thinking about it. He sees Eberhardt coming up, thought about making the move right there, hesitates. Now he jumps back down, but this will give a big surge to the top line.
Too late. He thought about it too late. They got a big run. Fox contacts with him. He's going to go around. Somehow, I think he's going to keep it going. Oh, he's hooking it right back out on the racetrack, I think.
He saved that. Are you kidding me? William Fox. He's in the grass, but what a save for the 761. I thought for sure he was going to clobber this inside wall. I'm not sure that he did. Let's go take a look. Here you go, off of 4. Oh my goodness, and again, we have a new candidate for what might have been one of the best saves we've ever seen. Watch this. So what's going to happen is the one of Garrett Maines jumps up, Fox kind of gets that tunnel vision, starts to follow, and he gets stuck together with Alex Hill, turns it down, and now he is making a beeline for that inside wall, was able to get it whipped back around the other way, keeps his foot in it, and then you see he's going to get out of the pipes here once it starts to correct. I mean, that's just a phenomenal job, Dawson. I don't know what other way to put it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, incredible job to maintain the truck. He's going to need some help here with the caution, but man, the way these guys are racing, I don't think you can take that out of the question as they are still jockeying, dicing back and forth up front. Garrett Maines threw an extremely late block on Logan York that I was convinced was not going to work. There's been a few times that I wanted to call a wreck in progress, and it just hasn't happened. Now Hill gets hung in the middle. Maines up to block. He saw Karosik go up in front of Eberhardt. Oh my goodness, we are scrambling all kinds of different ways up here up front. Logan York to the lead on the super stretch.
Yeah, Logan York on that inside line. He's going to have a great pusher in him behind Cody Nagels. Just behind them, a lot of pushing as well coming from that third truck. Kevin Freeze to Logan. That was not the move to make. Gets caught. Now we got contact. Everybody somehow saves it again, but Logan, oh, we got a big hit out back. Danny Esselman into the outside wall. One truck for now, but they're going to fan out 4 wide as they're going to split Logan. They didn't like the move he made, and I was just getting ready to say I wouldn't be surprised if they dump him for it here. That's exactly what they're going to do. Logan's going to have to learn from that one. He got just a little bit too greedy. Got caught out. Dylan Jones with some contact. Saves it again. Man, this is starting to look like bumper cars out back.
They're going to wreck out back. I'm almost positive. I think they're wrecking back there a little further back. Yo, trouble! Jeff Merck is around right at the front. Kevin Freeze, Karosik, Eberhardt, Mullahan. Big crash right at the front of the field.
Yeah, they're still wrecking here. This one's an absolute mess. 2 wrecks. First one towards the back. Second one going to be towards the front. And man, oh man, just looked again like just starts from, I hate to say it, but just like guys trying to do a little bit too much at this point, and everybody gets out of shape. Nobody wants to give, and we'll have to break all of this down. Before we go to that, I want to take a look at the wreck that did not bring out the caution that involved Terry Bradford and maybe a couple others here. Yeah, it looks like Mike Bearden, maybe, no, John Mullahan I don't think was actually involved in this one. Bradford watching chat was not too happy with it, so here we go. Taking a look from the chopper view, you see Terry on the inside, and Mike Bearden just coming down. I'm not sure if he thought that there was a gap there, but there certainly wasn't, and gets him and Terry hooked. That sends Terry, big hit into the inside wall. He gets on his side, almost upside down, and got to remember, he already had to use his fast spare, so that's going to complete his night. Not the way he wanted to end it. Here we go. Let's go back and check out this second wreck. This was the one that really was kind of the kicker for most of these guys here. And go to Jeff Merck first here, but the first wreck was actually further back towards where Sierra Clampert. And, kind of break this down with me here, Dawson, because there was a lot of stuff going on, but I feel like that all kind of starts with the move that Logan York made where he wasn't quite clear. Guys didn't like that. They split 4 wide. We start getting these checkups. A couple different guys in the back hit the wall, and they just never really could sort it out.
Yeah, and guys coming on faster than the pack in front of them. Zach Lima, Chris McCullough, Kenny McCullough all starting that one. Sierra Clampert as well. And then the one up front, the one that happened way after, I'm trying to figure out. Karosik goes left in the middle of the corner, and I cannot tell if he's just trying to side draft or if perhaps he's getting pushed by Daniel Eberhardt. I can't tell, but it's awfully close. Karosik hangs a left, and man, Jeff Merck, that is a brutal hit to the outside wall.
And I was looking here from Michael Matta, as it looks like him and Dylan Jones are actually the first two that are going to make contact in this one. So here you go. Logan York's going to be able to shuffle back in line. Dylan Jones bails out of the throttle, and then, it just looks like Michael Matta coming down a bit, maybe makes some contact or a little bit of netcode, can't tell, with Dylan Jones. And so he gets into the outside wall, and then the people behind this that are trying to miss it is going to be ultimately kind of what this wreck sparks from, if you will. And Sierra Clampert was the first one that I had saw going around as they're trying to get it sorted out. Looks like, further back, that's going to be Christopher McCall and Zachary Lima that make some contact. Chris gets down into his teammate Ken McCall Jr., and then just a mess. Sierra Clampert gets turned around. Brock Westmoreland, he'll get involved with nowhere to go and then slide up the track. Looks like a couple big hits there, but then the wreck up front was the bigger one. So let's go back and see if we can debunk what goes on right here a little bit. And so here you go. You see Steve Korsek, just as Dawson was saying. Yeah, I agree. Looks like, not sure if, trying to get a view from the TV follow if he was getting any sort of push at the time. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like Eberhardt was on his bumper at that moment. So that's an odd one for Steve Korsek. But gets down into Jeff Merck, and that sends Merck up hard into the outside wall. Big hit. That's going to do a ton of damage here. Is now Steve Korsek, John Mullihan, Kevin Freeze, and Daniel Eberhardt all in it, just trying to find an area to go to miss it. Ron Morris Jr. gets collected. And so that'll bring out another big one here tonight. At this rate, Dawson, we may not have any trucks left at the end of this race.
Well, it validates what those guys further back were doing, right? I mean, the strategy to just run conservative, and guys like I'm looking at J.R. Miller, Michael Triscaro, Chris Parkman, guys like that just decided to hang out back and wait for stuff to happen in front of them. That's what they were waiting on, is a wreck like that to really take out a lot of good trucks. That was all considered, probably 15, 20 trucks have some kind of damage out of that. So if you're one of those guys further back who's used their fast repair, man, you're looking really smart right about now with 25 to go, because I just don't think that's the last time we have a wreck like that.
And we're just about out of the fuel window in terms of a chance at having a green flag stop. They still would have to pit at this moment. If not, you would have to say probably about 3 laps of fuel. I just don't know if I see that happening. But if we get another caution from here, then I think we're going to be in that fuel window, and that tends to make things that much more aggressive. 36 laps complete as we cross the line, so that'll officially make it 25 laps to go. We will get the 1 to go signal, so I think we're actually going to hold off. I was thinking about taking a quick break, but with 1 to go, how about we see if we can maybe pull up one of the guys that we have in the Discord here for tonight and talk about the chaos that we have ensued. And you know what? I mean, we saw Jeff Merck in that last accident. We know he's one of the veterans. He's got a lot of knowledge. Let's see what he's got to say. Hey, Jeff, this is Austin and Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man, what's up?
Well, I mean, first of all, kind of break us down. What happened in that last wreck?
I'm not really sure. There's just the racing up front is just crazy, and I'm in here by myself, so I don't know what everybody up there is doing. So it's just.
Well, speaking of
people are driving like idiots with 30 laps to go, really.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, with the amount of aggression we've seen here tonight, even though we know how aggressive you like to be, being one of the veterans, does that change your strategy? Do you try to be more conservative here? How do you go about it?
Yeah, well, I'm 2 laps down now because I had over 4 minutes of tow there. So right now it's just I just have to do what I have to do to try to get my 2 laps back, get back on the lead lap.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to us and good insight. We appreciate it. We'll see if you can get back on the lead lap.
All right, guys. Thanks.
And I'll tell you what, Dawson, when one of the veteran guys that's been around money racing longer than me and you both says that they're just kind of racing stupid up front, he's probably right.
I mean, he's not mincing words, but I mean, I'm not going to, sit here and say he's wrong either. It's just way too aggressive, in my opinion, for still being 30 laps to go. And especially on that last run, we still had a pit stop to go, man. It just did not make sense to me. I knew what they were trying to do, but it also just really doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's the nature of the beast. It's what you get in some of these big events. Everybody knows that $500 is less than 25 laps away. And I don't think that aggression is going to calm down much at all right here. Here we go. Alex Hill, Cody Nagels, NBG teammates on the front row. Maines and Everhart in row 2. Green flag is back in the air at Talladega.
All right, 24 laps to go. Now we've got another opportunity to ask these drivers, what are we going to do on this restart? Are they going to continue to race like they were? Are they going to maybe settle it down? I don't know. I got to think a lot of them probably leaning towards option B here. I mean, you've had a couple huge wrecks now. You really want to make it to the end of the race. I think you just got to try to manage. Onto the super stretch, Cody Nagel's going to try to get even here, try to poke his nose out front. Man, that bottom is rolling in a huge way right here. Alex Hill going to be clear. Garrett Maines may have a chance. Nope, now here comes the outside. Nagels and Hill going to be even in 3.
And Navarro has made his way up into the top 5. I swear we see him on the podium every time we are on air at one of these super speedways. Somehow finds a way to get to the front, and now that he finds himself in 3rd, I think he's going to settle in and ride around here for just a little bit. Daniel Everhart up top, pushing Cody Nagels. Nash Brambilla, one of the PGR, Team PGR guys. We know how much talent he's got, and I don't know if he's still got it, but I believe he had a cast on his foot for Tuesday Night Thunder and PGR a couple weeks ago, or excuse me, the Little Guy Series. So I'm assuming he's still got it on here tonight, and nonetheless still finds himself in 3rd place on the outside with a good run. Jason Maines will jump up to show his support. Just behind him, Zachary Lima and Brock Westmoreland trying to join the party. 3 wide all the way towards the back of the field, but we're seeing some disorganization, and we know what that can cause, Dawson. Once everybody catches each other, it's going to cause some checkups and ultimately the opportunity for that 3rd lane to form.
Absolutely. That's what I was just thinking, is some of these guys are going to have big runs when they get to the field here, and you got some sets of teammates. You got to think 3 wide's going to be an option. Here comes that first big run. Ryan Baste is going to get it. Now, does he go or does he check up and hope the guys behind him don't? He goes 3rd line. Ryan Baste, the first one to try it, up on the outside about 6 rows deep. He's got some help. J.R. Miller, Michael Triscaro, and one other truck going with them, and look at how fast they're rolling already. About 5 rows back of the leaders. They're going to be surging here. Jason Maines sees it. He says, I want a piece of that too. Who else in this top line decides to go here as we hit the super stretch?
Man, I thought for sure Broadfoot was going to jump up. Doesn't have any teammates. That would have been a perfect move and a perfect opportunity. But the 10 truck's going to stay low. Meanwhile, further back, another truck's going to be up out. Now Broadfoot's going to make the move. He'll go up top as Nagel switches down to the bottom line. 3 by 3 into turn 3. Daniel Everhart in the middle. Cody Nagels on the bottom. Broadfoot up top. Westmoreland's going to make contact. This is going to be another big wreck as they all pile up behind it. Turn 3 and 4. Oh my goodness. And another wreck that's going to collect, man, it looks like probably about 10 or more trucks. Let's go back and take a look at this one. Didn't see too many guys escape. Brock Westmoreland, the first one to get sideways, but it looked like he was washing up the track. So here you go. He's in the middle line. They're 3 wide, and ooh, that's a little bit of a tough call right there on if Brock got a little bit of net coat on his left front from Dylan Jones, or does he just maybe get a little bit spooked here and wash up? Let's take a cockpit ride. See if that gives us any more insight. No, that's a tough call. It looks to me, because you hear bail out of the throttle just a little bit. I think maybe he just got a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, thought he was coming down into Dylan and tried to drive it up just a little bit right there, but unfortunately drove it up maybe just a little bit too much. And when he makes that contact, it's off of there. Wow, big hit as him and Kevin Freeze both almost get upside down. They got pile driven. Couldn't tell exactly who that was. Let's take a different view of this one here from the TV follow cam. There you go. Kevin Freeze trying to sneak through. Danny Escherman got into Brock Westmoreland, and then Mike Davenport committed to the top, nowhere to go. And so he's just going to kind of plow into both of these trucks who almost kind of get connected. And then below, you see a couple more trucks. Steve Korsek, Jeff Merck really couldn't afford to be in that one, get in it. And so overall, this was just a really messy wreck. Dawson, looks to me like Jeff Merck was maybe getting a little payback here.
Yeah, and that's not where it stopped either. We've got some extracurriculars after this one. Merck was not happy about Steve Karosik, the way he came into that wreck. He plowed the 27 down in the inside wall. Karosik drove past the pit lane and plowed Jeff Merck as he came off pit road. These guys have both taken shots at each other under this caution. That's, oh boy, tempers flaring late in this one.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll have to go back and look at this here, but we'll see what happens as Steve Korsek still waiting to see exactly. Looks like he was getting ready to go into the pits, but realized that if he did so, he wouldn't be able to catch up to that 60 as quick as he wanted, so he's going to stay out here. And here we go. Merck's going to come off of the pits. Watching for the 27 here of Steve Korsek. There he is, and that's a big shot in the back. Steve was letting him know, I am not too happy. Unfortunately, I think that'll give the worst end to Korsek. He got a lot of front-end damage, but let's go back and take a look at that one again here. And so here you go. They start wrecking, and Steve looks like he's committed to the inside. Merck comes low, and Steve gets into him. And then Devin Ray piles in as well, and Jeff didn't like that. I do want to take a ride on board here. We saw from a couple different views. Let's take a ride on board with Steve Korsek. And here we go. They start wrecking. Steve jumps low. He does get on. He gets off the gas and onto the brakes, but I mean, you know, Dawson, that didn't look like anything malicious to me by Steve Korsek. I mean, I know Jeff wasn't happy with the last wreck, but I mean, as a veteran, you got to be a little smarter than that.
I would agree. I mean, I can understand the frustration, obviously being in the last wreck, now being in this one, and maybe, you know, if you're Jeff Merck right there, it's also temper. It's also the heat of the moment. I've been there more than once, so I understand where you come from as a driver. You get hot. It's the heat of racing, and you know, once he cools down, I'm sure he's gonna be like, well, you know, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But that's one where he got frustrated after what happened there. He felt like it could have been avoidable, and man, those guys took just pot shots at each other. Really, two really interactions in a row within about 30 seconds. I have not seen that in a very long time.
We just took a look there at Michael Triscaro, currently in 13th. One of our driver cams tonight, Tony Cox. Update on him in 27th. He's up 16 from where he started here tonight. Decent run still going for both of those guys. Tried to do a little bit more, though, than Trevor Osronoff. A little bit lower than what we're used to seeing him run here. He'll try to make some progress back up through the field. Currently finds himself in 34th. Again, up 4 from where he started. But to go back live here, that was an interesting... Look like, were these guys, I heard, for some reason, I thought I heard it say yellow flag is back out. Not sure if I missed something right there or not, but I'll tell you what, Dawson, this has been a pretty crazy race so far, and now fuel is going to be officially eliminated from the picture. But, you know, I'm curious to hear from now with some of the chaos we've seen is Matthew Baker again. Baker, what are you thinking of what we see here, what we saw with that last wreck?
Yeah, just looks like Brock got a little bit spooked, went up the track. He said there was someone that had connection issues on the bottom. I think it was his own connection. And when that happened, he came up into the side of the outside line, and then the chaos ensued. Merck got disqualified there for intentionally wrecking Steve under caution. Not a thing we like to have here. But you know, we move on from it. Hopefully we get a good finish. You know, Broadfoot had a couple incidents a couple weeks ago, and now he's up front, and it's nice to see some newer faces up front, and they're in front of the big dog. So hopefully we can get to this last pit stop. Actually, I think we are very close on the fuel window right here, so they may be able to make it, but it's going to be a crazy race nonetheless.
And thank you, Baker. As he noted, Brandon Broadfoot, we talked about one of the dark horse picks with a technical issue last week, as the whole field was mad at him, and he probably felt pretty down in the... He probably felt pretty, you're good. I was going to say probably felt pretty down in the dumps about it, but now that he finds himself up front, I got to think he's regained all that confidence. And how about on his outside, Kenneth Stamper, who actually didn't notice too much tonight because he's also rocking a new paint scheme, but that 30 machine, we know how good he is out in front, and he's going to have a good pusher in Alex Hill, but we got to be careful here, or excuse me, you got to be careful here because you know the 90 of Daniel Eberhard is thinking about going 3 wide, especially with a guy that he likes to work with, Andrew Navarro, just behind.
I was just going to mention, look at them lined up on the outside, and, you know, Jason Maines, he's not going to hang around either. I think he'll go with them if they go here, if they get off turn number 2 and they see an opportunity. Jason Maines, prime opportunity to be truck number 3, and they can have that line rolling, but Man, what an opportunistic front row. Broadfoot and Stamper, and Broadfoot is gone on the restart with 18 laps to go. Again, it's the same problem we saw earlier where you got maybe too good a restart, and now the help is not going to be there for the 10.
Yeah, he's got to be careful, but it looks like he was able to get some help pretty quick there from Cody Nagels, is lining him up, doing a lot of pushing, but that outside line, we know they tend to surge on the back straight away the first lap. Kenneth Stamper, he's going to have to make that move now. Little bit of fishtailing, but big push now from the 77. Further back, already a little bit of 3 wide as everybody's jockeying for any sort of position as they race down the Talladega Superstretch.
Into 3. How about the help on the bottom? They do manage to hang tough. Brandon Broadfoot now leads. He's clear in the lead. Cody Nagels, watch out if you're Broadfoot. Nagels is going to get clear. He's not going to hang around to see this, I don't think. Well, maybe. Nope, there he goes. 6 truck to the outside. He wants the race lead. He's got Stamper. Broadfoot now has Garrett Maines, Nash Brambilla in tow. Top line surging. Here comes Nagels. Eberhardt took a peek out back, but still everybody 2 wide. Nagels leads at the line.
Yeah, 2 by 2, but this can only last for so long. People are starting to get trapped. Garrett Maines on the inside. It's not a bad spot to be in, but again, not sure if Broadfoot quite has, I wouldn't say the experience, but knowing he doesn't have teammates, he may not jump up to the top, because if he gets left, he's not going to get any help. So I think his best friend right now is just to stay on the bottom unless Garrett Maines tells you to jump up to the top, but could hurt him in the back end here as this one truck's temps start to heat up. But Cody Nagels leads on the outside. Eberhardt again just barely sneaking into a gap that I didn't think was there, and now here comes Jason Maines and Ken McCall Jr. on the top.
Chris McCullough in tow as well in the 0-4. They've got something rolling. They just need to get hooked up. They got more trucks coming with them. If they can just get hooked together here on the outside, they're going to have a run. Now they're hooked together, and they're coming to the front, and actually they're going to roll. Look at how disorganized the bottom 2 lanes are right now, especially the middle, behind our front 3 trucks. Here comes Jason Maines. He's going to surge big time. Garrett got out from behind Broadfoot. He leads the middle in front of Nagels now. But watch out. Here comes the 1, the 0-3, and the 0-4 up top side.
And the top 20, a couple people starting to break into it now. Sierra Clamper, John Darnell, J.R. Miller, Logan York, all getting back up here to get in the action. Cole Fitzpatrick trying to see what he can do as well, as he's actually just outside the top 20. But up front, still 3 by 3. Brandon Broadfoot leading at Talladega with Nash Brambilla. I think that's a really good duo in the sense of, I don't know if Nash will leave this 10 truck. He might stay there, but Garrett Maines, he's going to start to surge. Maybe not so much. Nagels with a big move. Garrett Maines with an even bigger block. The 1 truck takes the lead on the outside.
Yeah, but Eberhardt got to the back of the 18 of Brambilla, who did not stay with the 10. He jumped to the middle. Now the 10 stuck in the bottom, almost came up off the bottom. Now Garrett Maines back to the lead. That's going to show us like trouble right at the front of the field. This is going to collect a lot of trucks. Nagels, Eberhardt, Maines, and others.
Sarah Clamper takes a huge shot to the outside wall. Eberhardt sliding back up. And again, we have got another big one here at Talladega. Make it, the 6th one of the night. As it looks like the 87 of Jonathan Herbert is going to be able to sneak through it. And looks like a decent amount of these guys are going to be able to roll away. Ooh, Brambilla with heavy damage. That's going to be a fast repair for that 18 machine, hands down. So let's go back, take another look at it. Mr. FEG himself is in the chat and says Alex Hill or Cody Nagels wins this, mark it down. And we will have to see. I'm not sure if was Cody maybe involved in this one. It's looking like he may have been. Let's go back and take a look at exactly how this starts. It's just aggressive racing, and eventually things have to give, and that's what we're seeing a lot of here tonight. A lot of trucks. And here you go. So Broadfoot on the bottom. He just creeps up and gets into Brambilla there. And Dawson, I'll ask you, because the view here is a little tough for me. Was this, it kind of looks like he gets a little offset of a push here from Andrew Navarro, but I'm thinking something had to get him offset. I don't think they were just running offset. And so here we go. You come out of the tribal here, and Navarro's going to give him a shot right on exit. Boom. So it's a little bit of an offset shot, and then, yeah, it just looks like Navarro maybe with a little bit of an offset shot, and that kind of drifts Broadfoot up the track, gets him into Brambilla, and then it's on from there.
Yeah, a product of late race pushing, and Andrew Navarro, I mean, he's one of the more aggressive pushers in the field for sure, and so when he gets the back bumper of Broadfoot, he's not exactly going to be 100% focused on centering up because he's got to get their line to go. The bottom line was not really going there into 1, so as he tries to get the line to go, he gets off center of Broadfoot, and man, that's another just massive wreck. Look at some of the guys. There's a ton of trucks in this. I was trying to name off who is in it. I think it's easier to name off who is not in it. Jason Maines, big damage. Steve Karosik, that might be the death blow to his night. I know he was involved in that one as well. Corbett, Clampert, and many others there. Just another huge wreck right at the front of the field.
Yeah, it tends to be the way they go here at Talladega. When they wreck big, and that one had to be probably at least 15. And there you go, right from the wall cam. That'll give you all you need to know. Cody Nagels, unfortunately, was involved in this one. And trying to figure out just how much damage he got. It looks like it's going to be a pretty decent amount. Lima somehow misses most of that. Just able to drop to the inside. And then Logan York, Sierra Clamper both ducking to the inside to try to miss it. Logan clips Sierra, but nothing intentional there. Just both drivers trying to drop to the inside. Tony Cox involved in that one. That's pretty heavy front end damage to the 72. And then big Cole Fitzpatrick. Does he actually find a way to sneak through this? He's hard on the brakes, and I think he does. Couldn't tell right there at the end. I want to go back and take a ride on board, but that would be a big deal. Looks like he may have, because he's being scored in 12th, and I don't see any damage on the truck from this view. Let's go on his roll bar here and take a look as he sees this entire mess unfold in front of him. And he's in the middle line, Dawson, and if you're in the middle line in one of these big packs that are 3 wide, it's very rare that you miss the wreck, because you usually can't go left or right. You just gotta kind of hold the middle, and Fitzpatrick did a good job of checking up there, and he's going to get through this one unscathed.
Yeah, sometimes you just kind of get lucky enough where you can check up, have nobody hit you from behind, and you can just wait for the sea to part, wait for the wreck to clear, and drive on through it. And luckily, yeah, that's exactly what happened right there. So a very lucky moment, and he keeps it on going, moving on forward, and that's just one of those moments as a driver you're like, well, I've used my luck for the entire race, so you better not have another situation like that, or I don't know if he'll fare quite as well.
All right, so back up front. Looks like it's going to be probably about an 11 lap to go restart. Garrett Maines leading, Andrew Navarro second, Dylan Jones third, Michael Triscaro in fourth, and Ryan Bass in fifth. We are going to take a quick break. We will go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us for the finish at Talladega in the 2023 Fall Brawl. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway. Here we go. Caution all cleaned up, ready to go back green. 11 laps to go. Green flag is back in the air. Garrett Maines, Andrew Navarro both through the gears. And a good start for both guys as they're going to kind of sit on the front bumper of the two trucks pushing. It's exactly what you want to do on these starts. Haven't seen it that much tonight, Dawson, but they do a good job on this one. Further back, a lot of separation on that outside line. Alex Hill did not get the restart he wanted. And all of a sudden, I think we're going to see a pretty good surge here from the top as a couple more guys are going to jump up top now.
Well, actually, he did get a good restart. Fitzpatrick and Ransone just dropped to the bottom right in front of him, gave him all the real estate he could want up in the top lane. So Alex Hill says, thank you very much. I'll take this, and rolls right up on past him and keeps on coming to the front. They're going to have a huge run. He and Ron Morris and Kenny Stamper right here are going to have a massive run coming towards the front. And, man, Logan York, that was risky there in the middle in front of Ron Morris, but he makes it work somehow. He may be the first to take a peek at the top. Andrew Navarro got in a wreck at the beginning of the race. I said he'd be back up front, and where is he? Right back at the front. He leads at the line. How about Ryan Baste? He's up here for the first time tonight. J.R. Miller's made his way back to the front.
Yeah, J.R. Miller, that's a guy that you'd really like to see have a good run here tonight. Got caught up in a wreck early, but whenever we see him out here, he's very, very respectful to all these other guys. Doesn't cause a lot of issues, and he has got the speed to get it done as long as you give him the track position. He's got it now. We'll see if he can hold on for these next 10 laps, but here comes D3 Entertainment. Daniel Eberhard himself up top with a big push from Jason Maines. No more takers yet. A little surprising. That third line has been pretty good here tonight. It's been rolling well regardless of the cool track temp, but only two still out there. Jason Maines trying everything, but he can't get to the back bumper of Daniel Eberhard, so that line will stay halted. Now John Mullahan's going to jump up, and they will start to surge out of turn 4.
Yep, they got the third truck. Now they're going to start to surge. That's usually how it works here. When they get up there, and here comes John Mullahan. He says, welcome to the party. I'm here to play. Here comes the 0-2 to the outside of the 42. Leaves Maines and Dylan Jones on the bottom. Michael Triscaro trying his best to help him. They just don't have the energy. Contact up front. Oh, they're door checking each other. Trouble. Around goes Logan York, and we're piling him up one more time.
Another big wreck here. Lima's in it. The 10. Oh, we got one upside down. That was the 8 of Chris Parkman. Looks like he's going to get back on all four as some more contact even further back. Brings out your 7th caution here of the night. So we have now had an average caution of over every 10 laps. And as everybody tries to get it back rolling here, Lima's in the back doing burnouts. And yeah, he's just doing burnouts here. I'm not sure what the 4 is doing. I'm not sure if his truck's just done, and yeah, I think that's what it was. I think he was done and just trying to get a couple last-minute things before he heads out. But let's go back and take a look here at what brings out your 7th caution of the night. And again, just really hard racing. This one didn't necessarily, at least from the first view, look like anybody did anything crazy, but it's going to be some contact here from the middle. So here we go. Let's go to the TV follow cam. I think this is going to give us the best view as they get into the turn here. And actually, I take that back. That's not really the view I was hoping for, so we'll try the chopper. J.R. Miller stacked up on the bumper of Ryan Baste, who's on the bumper of Navarro. So right here, when you're J.R. Miller, you can't push here. It's just not going to work. And what does he do? Looks like he gives a push to the back bumper of Ryan Baste. Baste trying to stay off Navarro. He gets sent up into John Mullahan, back into Navarro, and eventually it's just going to turn him down here. He gets into Garrett Maines. That sends Garrett onto the apron with Dylan Jones further back. Everybody trying to miss it. Logan York follows J.R. Miller down. Maybe thinks they're wrecking at this point, and he's just on from there. Logan York, as he's sliding, trying to save it, gets tagged here by Cole Fitzpatrick, who had nowhere to go. And then there's Dustin Carruthers, gets sent up the track into the 8 of Chris Parkman, who takes a pretty big hit. Tony Cox further up. Man, looked like William Ransone, and couldn't tell if that was Michael Triscaro. Somebody had another big hit up there. I think that was Michael Triscaro. That was a huge hit after the second part of the wreck. That's going to give even more damage. But Dawson, that one just looked like tight racing, but a little bit of a mistake from the 78.
Yeah, it's another stack up, unfortunately, up front that costs guys further back. And this is another, man, how many times we said this tonight? Another large pileup. It feels like this just been every wreck has involved 10 or more in this race. And right here, more heavy hitters involved in this one. Lima, you saw get involved in that one. You saw Kenny Stamper involved in that one. Logan York is involved in that one. Alex Hill actually got a piece of that one as well. He's the truck that turned William Ransone up into Michael Triscaro. They got together after the initial wreck. But, man, another wreck full of heavy hitters. And you asked the question earlier. I'm going to ask it again. How many trucks are we even going to have left at the end of this race at this point?
Yeah, it's not much, or at least not many undamaged ones. That's for sure here as we take just a couple more looks. Take an onboard view here. Back this up for Dustin Carruthers. as he's going to see this on the bottom line. He's got nowhere to go, really trying to get on the brakes, maybe hoping the C's part, and just nothing to do. Chris Parkman upside down, going by his camera view. So Dustin Carruthers, if he's got a fast spare, I'm not sure if he's going to have to quite use that one or not. We'll have to find out. As take 2 more views here. How about one from the wall cam? And man, oh man, that second wreck was almost a bigger hit, but definitely noted a couple fast spares that are going to have to be used from that one. The 87 looks like got some damage. Mark Vondell way behind it, was able to check up in time. And then take one more view here from TV4. And we've seen a lot of big ones here tonight, Dawson, and almost an inverse of what we actually saw last week, where we saw quite a bit of green flag racing and some green flag stops, but major event, a lot of money on the line. And if you came into this race with the strategy of survival, you may be one of the few trucks that are left, because anybody that has tried to race in the front, I would almost guarantee you, has been caught up in at least one of these wrecks and obtained some sort of damage.
Yeah, and even some of the guys that I said were trying to survive this race, a guy like Chris Parkman, you just can't even escape it then. He gets involved in that one. Cole Fitzpatrick's another guy I thought was just trying to make it through the race. He gets involved. Just even if you are trying to survive, apparently that's not good enough either. As we've seen guys just trying to ride through the race and get to the end, getting involved in wrecks that start 10, 12 rows up in front of them. So there's nowhere safe right now. It doesn't seem like, to me, at least over the past few wrecks, it just feels like there is nowhere safe you can go right now.
Certainly isn't, and it looks like this restart is going to put us right at, assuming we get to want to go here, 5 laps to go. So any caution after this next point would be an overtime finish. And so everybody good to go on fuel, at least for regulation. Overtime might be a different story, but right now, it looks like the way they're going to line up, Andrew Navarro being scored as your leader. How about John Mullihan going to be placed on the front row on the inside, looking to see if he can get McCall Motorsports a win here tonight. He's probably going to need some teammates, which aren't too far back, couple rows deep, couple more McCall Motorsports guys. But looking in row 2, it's going to be Ryan Baston, Garrett Maines, Daniel Eberhardt, and J.R. Miller just behind. And behind them, Jason Maines, Dylan Jones, and there you go, Ron Morris Jr., another McCall Motorsports teammate, Cody Nagels, who we actually found out during the breaks actually with Dale Cup here tonight. And so I think he's the only one carrying the torch left, as Steve Korosek, I believe, had to retire, and so did Zachary Lima. And we have seen a lot of trucks taken out here tonight. In fact, I mean, you see it on your scoring tower. We had 45, and 40 of them have called it quits, and I think a couple more haven't, or just being shown laps down. So definitely survival of the fittest. But Dawson, no matter how crazy a race is, the last lap is always the craziest, and we could still see a photo finish here tonight.
Well, we still got to get there. I mean, at this rate we're going, now we're going to be in the range of overtime here if we get another caution. And I only have 3 attempts at overtime. You know, that third overtime rule, we haven't used it in a while, I don't feel like. It feels like it's been a bit since we've had to utilize that rule. But, man, the way they're racing tonight may just be the night we have to use it again. This one, I don't see it going the regulation distance here. I think we're going to have to use at least one of those attempts.
Yeah, and if you're one of the drivers in the top 6, you probably don't care too much if we have to use all 3 overtimes and finish under caution. But if you're anybody outside of it, man, it is the last thing you want to have happen. It almost kind of gets you angry thinking about it. So you're going to have to make sure that you keep it tight, you keep it clean. I mean, you can only control your truck, but if everybody goes in with a similar mindset of keeping it clean here, at least until we can take the white flag. Remember, no cautions on the white flag, so if you can just keep it somewhat civil until we take the white flag, then you can go all out without really any consequences, assuming that you don't take anybody out. But I think we're going to see a lot of chaos here in these first couple laps, and I think they will fan out 3 wide as we get ready to get the green flag. Here we go, back into the Geico restart zone. 5 laps to go at Talladega. Green flag is back in the air.
Who's going to get the better restart as we get into the restart zone? Mullihan pulls ahead, but the help is not with him. The help is up top. Garrett Maines the back of Andrew Navarro. J.R. Miller's hanging around here late in the 78. Still very much in this. Who's going to be the first to make a big move? Now you're in crunch time. It's time to go. If you want to make a move and you're 8-10 rows back, you got to go now. I'm looking at a guy like Mike Davenport, Brandon Broadfoot, Michael Matta, somewhere back there around 8 or 10 rows. You got to start thinking about going. You don't have any time. Bottom line surges down the super stretch. John Mullihan will poke that truck out front. There you see the peaks further back, starting to peak 3 wide off into 3.
Yeah, well, it's honestly real simple at this point, Dawson. If you're not in the top 6, you need to get to that 3rd lane and start going to the front, because we're running out of time. Going to be coming to 4 laps to go this time, but they remain 2 by 2. As you see the pack now down to probably about 20 to 25 trucks in total as they stay 2 by 2 up front. John Mullihan has a great pusher, and Ryan Bass, both of those guys looking for big payouts here tonight. But up top, Andrew Navarro and Garrett Maines, that's going to be a strong strong duo to beat unless you find a way to their outside. Dylan Jones, would he go with J.R. Miller? I'm not sure, but I definitely think if Cody Nagels jumps up, he will get a push from Ken McCall Jr., and I think that's where we're going to see the move here.
I would agree, and I'm wondering how long that 6 is going to wait. Judging on how long it's taken that third line to get some energy, you probably need to start building the run now. I just don't think you can wait any longer and have any hope of getting to the outside of the leaders here. We'll see, but as he continues to ride in line...
Sorry, Dawson, to cut you off. Based almost got turned right there.
You're good. There's guys all over the place. Mullihan, smart move up in front of Navarro. Off turn number 4. Still nobody looking 3 wide. They're starting 2 further back, though. Looks like Trevor Osranoff may be leading the charge.
Yeah, Osranoff trying to get to the front. Hasn't had a lot of luck here today, but he's trying to make some here late. Davenport going to jump up to the top to block that run. Those are the first few trucks going to act as a catalyst for this third line. Now watch him slowly dwindle out there. Looks like Ken McCall Jr., he'll jump up, and as he gets the run here, watch Cody Nagels probably going to do the same thing, but some separation in the middle is going to hinder this third line. But here you go, Ken McCall Jr., he's got the run. Cody Nagels, he doesn't jump up. I thought for sure the 6 would jump up there. Must have felt like the move wasn't there just yet, so he will stay in the middle. And this third lane, they're coming, but are they going to have enough time, as we will be coming to 2 laps to go when we cross the line this time?
I feel like the move's going to have to come from further up now. I don't know if Kenny's got enough time, and I don't know if Mike Davenport's going to have enough temperatures to get the 0-3 to the front. Now Nagels jumps to the outside. He saw the move. Now he fakes out, goes back to the middle. He had Dylan Jones out there. Cody Nagels, this is questionable at best. Here comes the top. Garrett Maines wants it. 2 laps to go. Maines took a contact in the middle. Somehow we keep it together. Mulligan's in trouble. Behind the leaders, Ron Morris is around, and we're wrecking big.
Ron Morris Jr. hard into the wall. Looks like Brandon Broadfoot hard into the wall. Gets back down into Logan York. And this one's going to collect just under a handful of them as they get back rolling. And we will now be heading to overtime. Overtime number 1 couldn't quite make it to the white flag. Brings out your 8th caution here of the night. And I'll tell you what, Cody Nagels, I think, needed that break. The first hesitation move he made, I think, was the right move. That second hesitation where he dropped Jones, I don't think was quite the right move. And I think he's going to get a second chance at it by getting that caution. But here we go. Let's take a look at this wreck. As it looks like, trying to find exactly where it starts. There's a pretty good stack up here in the middle line. And continues to be a stack up. Not sure what caused the stack up. But yeah, the stack up ultimately gets Michael Triscaro and Brock Westmoreland offset of each other. And that turns Brock Westmoreland down into Ron Morris Jr. and Devin Ray. That sends Ron Morris Jr. up the track. David Sheets has to take evasive measures. He gets hooked as well. Brandon Broadfoot piling in with nowhere to go. Maybe gets the worst of it here, is coming down, hits Logan York, and then Logan York coming down, collects Michael Matta. It looked like a case there of a couple guys not holding their brakes when they wreck, but nonetheless, it's a tough break for Logan York, though. I will say, looked like he was going to sneak by this, as you see him get some contact, but then gets to the inside, then kind of gets doubled up on. And so take a couple more views again. Not too much to break down. That one was actually pretty cut and dry, especially with the amount of wrecks that we saw here tonight on what really kind of caused it. And looks like Tony Cox coming up late was able to miss that one. So good news for him. But Kevin Freeze, I think he sneaks by as well. And so we talked about this is going to put us in that first overtime attempt. We got some heavily damaged trucks, but when you get into overtime, you might as well stay out, because if they all wreck on the white flag, you might have a chance of getting in the money, even if you can't keep up with the pack. We see some big wrecks on these last couple laps, but want to talk about it real quick, Dawson. That move from Cody, I think the first move where he stayed in line worked, but then I think that second move where Dylan Jones went out and he bailed on him wasn't quite the right move.
No, I agree. I think he should have stayed out there. Look where Dylan Jones is now. He's up 5th, 6th position here. Going to be on potentially the last restart of the race. We'll see if it does indeed become the final restart. But Cody's logged back in 10th, so obviously not the correct move. He's going to have another shot if he lines up 10th here. Going to have some pretty good help behind him still, so definitely not the end of the night for Nagels. But that's one where you look back and you go, man, you probably should have taken that one when you got it.
Tell you what, let's see if we can pull up J.R. Miller here for a quick word. Hey, JR, this is Austin and Dawson. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's going on, boys?
All right, well, we've seen you kind of up and down. You got a couple wrecks early. You find yourself in the front at the end here, but you still got some work to do if you want to get in the money and ultimately have a shot at the win. What's going to be the game plan?
Go where they're not. It's about the only thing you can do. I mean, look at the names up here. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you got to try to find that sweet spot and hopefully come out of everything and get to the finish line. That's all I want.
Well, when you're in that kind of position, we know it's a top 6 payout. Do you fight just to mainly get into the top 6, or do you just try to get all the way to the front and hope it works out?
Well, I guess it's going to depart on this restart. I really didn't want to start on the bottom lane, but hopefully we get a decent run and maybe they mix it up a little bit under these last 2 laps, and maybe maybe I prevail. Maybe I get a top 5, top 6. But $500 sounds a lot sweeter.
Certainly does. Well, hey, thank you for talking to us. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll see if we're talking to you in victory lane here in just a couple laps.
All right, 10-4, guys.
All right, there you go. J.R. Miller sounding a little nervous. You can't blame him. He is right. You got some big hitters up here. But how about John Mullahan? Little bit of a dry streak right now for the number 2 machine. We know he's got the speed to do it, but he's going to need a little bit of luck here right at the end. He's going to have a good pusher no matter which lane he chooses. And I believe we should get the 1-to-go signal right here. Quick reminder, you probably saw it in the pin, but from what it sounds like, the boss man, Bryce, has put Ghost Racing Network merch on sale. I'm not sure how long it lasts, but I believe it's 20% off. So, hey, if you're interested in a Ghost shirt, water bottle, or whatever's up there, make sure you go check it out. We certainly appreciate everybody being here tonight. I hope everybody's enjoying the broadcast. We got Baker on race control and partial analyst in the broadcast booth, and then got Dawson Wise as the co-host here tonight. And then, as always, Austin Green, I appreciate being here and doing this every week for these guys. We'll be back, of course, next Thursday, so make sure you don't miss out on that one.
Looks like Mullahan's going to take the bottom. I think it looks like to me he's going to select the bottom in front of Based. And I was going to say, I didn't know if you were going to give me a chance, but I was going to say, I think it's smart if he does select the bottom, because Navarro and Eberhard are not staying in the middle right here. I don't see them staying with Garrett Maines. I think they probably are the first to go 3 wide here when we go back under the green flag. We'll see, but probably the right decision from the 0-2.
Part of me begs to differ. I mean, that 42, he always talks about, whenever we interview him, he says that you just got to not be stupid with your moves. And I think what he means by that right here is he's in a good position. That's a lot of money still for a 4th, and just push here is probably what he'll do. Just push Garrett at least all the way until we get to the trial of the last lap. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. If there is, though, then maybe he makes the move. But I don't think we're going to see this 42 or the 73 come unattached from the guys that they are pushing until we get to the checkered flag. And that is going to mean that if you want to go to the front and that chance to win the 500, you're going to have to make this 3rd lane work. Question is, who is going to be that person here tonight? Definitely take a couple guesses, but I think the biggest guess would probably be Daniel Eberhard. 3rd on the outside, he would have Ken McCall Jr. and Cody Nagels behind him. I wouldn't be surprised if both of those guys jump out. But there you see Trevor Osranoff, Michael Triscaro, a little bit further back. A couple other guys that you can't count out is maybe jumping up. And, man, it's going to be a good finish.
Yeah, look at the guys in the top lane right now behind Eberhard, Navarro, and Maines. You got Kenny McCullough. He's not going to sit there and just ride in 8th position. Cody Nagels, Trevor Osranoff, Michael Triscaro, John Darnell. I mean, these are all guys I think we're going to see go to the 3rd line. And if they all go, oh, man, this could get really interesting here.
Yeah, it's going to get dicey. It's going to be fun. And make sure you are tuning in for these last 2 laps, because they are going to be exciting. Overtime number 1 at Talladega. If we make it to the white flag, this race will be official. If we get a caution on that first lap, then we will rack them up and try it again. Here we go for potentially the final time here tonight. Who is going to win the 2023 Fall Brawl? Green flag back in the air.
Looks like a better start here for Mullahan, but here comes Garrett Maines, and Andrew Navarro is already pushing him. What a start by the middle lane. Garrett Maines surges ahead. The bottom will get a little bit of a run here in the middle of the corner, but man, that top line is so connected already. Who makes the first move? You start to look out back if you're one of these guys up front. You hope maybe that they stay there until we get to the white flag. I just don't know how long it's going to last. Maines clear to lead on the super stretch. Down towards turn number 3. Everybody's still in line. How long does this last?
And still 3 wide towards the back of the pack. But up front, everybody looks like they're ditching ship on the inside. Jumping up to the top. Garrett Maines currently leads it. He's clear on the bottom. Mullahan trying everything. Ryan Bass pushing him with all he's got. Dylan Jones not yet connected, but they still stay side by side. And as we work our way into the tribal, these guys are going to make it. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Talladega.
There goes the first move. It's Mike Davenport in the 55. He's got some help from behind from Trevor Oswornoth and Michael Triscaro. Mains to the bottom. Now they ditch him. Who goes third line? Somebody's got to go right here. Navarro now leads the middle. He's going to have a big surge. There's going to be a run right here from the 6 and the 89. The question is, do they have the help to do anything? Navarro dead even with Mains down the backstretch. Now Dylan Jones up into the middle. Who makes the first move off towards turn number 3?
A lot of fishtail, and Garrett Mains chose the inside. He's going to probably have to stay committed the rest of the way. Daniel Eberhardt pushing Andrew Navarro. Will he make the move, or does he stay committed? This could be a drag race all the way down to the checkered flag at a turn number 4 for the final time. Garrett Mains and Andrew Navarro, but here comes the top line. Ken McCall Jr., they're going to all leave him out. On the inside, it's a drag race between the bottom and middle. Mains and Navarro bump. It's a side-by-side finish. Garrett Mains wins it. He finally gets it done. Oh my goodness, I cannot get over that finish. By less than 100th of a second, it looks like. That looked like a short track finish. They were beating and banging from about out of the tribal all the way to the start finish. Let's back this up and go take a look. Oh my goodness, Garrett Mains decided he wanted this one enough where he was willing to put his elbows out a little bit, and one of the biggest payouts since PGR has started. No surprise to see one of the guys that always gets it done on the biggest stages get the job here tonight. Here we go. Let's go to the TV follow. So it looks like Eberhardt pushing really aggressive, gets him a little out of shape, but Andrew Navarro wheels it, saves it, and actually there may have been a little net code between the 42 and the 1, is what actually brings them together, and then it's just a drag race to the finish. Mains had the run. Both other trucks just not quite enough help to get there. Mullahan was coming, but probably needed a little bit more room, and it was about a 4 or 5 wide finish. My goodness.
What a win for Garrett Mains. Man, he's been waiting on this one for as long as I can remember, at least going back several months to our last marquee event. And since then, it feels like he's been close, but no cigar. Tonight, he gets the cigar. What a win by the one truck.
Man, oh man, and we'll get some interviews from these guys in just a moment as we take one more look at that photo finish. Holy moly, Garrett Mains, not by much, but he got it done. I'm telling you, he's going to be pretty excited about that one. First major title win here, the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series, and it comes in the 2023 Fall Brawl. So as he continues to burn it down, let's take a look at your finishing results here for the night at Talladega. And actually, before we do that, go back here, put it on the finish one more time, a little bit of a different angle here. And so Eberhardt doing everything he can there. I think there was a little bit of net code between those two, unless Mullahan gave him a little bit of a shot in the back. But I think if they don't make contact, Navarro maybe gets it. But phenomenal finish nonetheless. And well, I'll tell you what, he didn't get it by much, but he got it by all he needed. And so on that, we're going to go see if we can find your top 3 and get them ready for interviews. Stick with us. All right, and before we start with your top 3 here tonight, going to go over your finishing results. Garrett Mains gets the win at Talladega. Andrew Navarro in 2nd. John Mullahan finishes up in 3rd. Daniel Eberhardt in 4th. Ryan Baste 5th with Ken McCall Jr. in 6th. Dylan Jones in 7th. J.R. Miller 8th. Trevor Oswornoth in 9th. And Cody Nagels rounding out your top 10.
Jason Mains finishes 11th. Michael Triscaro 12th. Devin Ray 13th. Mike Davenport 14th. John Darnell 15th. Nash Brambilla finishes 16th. Mark Mondell in 17th. Chris McCullough 18th. Danny Eshelman 19th. And Brock Westmoreland rounds out the top 20.
And going on back here, I apologize. I'm actually trying to pull a couple of these guys up, but moving on back to 21st. It's going to be Tony Cox, Alex Hill in 22nd, Kenneth Stamper 23rd, Michael Matta in 24th with Jonathan Herbert in 25th. Sierra Clampert finishes in 26th, Steve Korsak 27th, Sean Corbett in 28th, Chris Parkman 29th, Brandon Broadfoot rounding out your top 30.
Ron Morris finishes 31st, William Fox 32nd, Logan York 33rd, David Sheets 34th, Kevin Freese in 35th. Cole Fitzpatrick finishes 36th, William Ransone 37th, Dustin Crothers 38th, Zach Lima 39th, and Levi Ship rounds out the top 40. And I'll just go ahead and wrap it up, make it easy on you, Austin. 41st, Mike Bearden, Terry Radford 42nd, 43rd will be John Moho, 44 will be Matthew Baker. Well, okay, no, it won't be Matthew Baker. Good on him for getting in the session, apparently. And Jeff Merck rounds out our field tonight, our 45 truck field.
All right, and starting with your third place finisher here tonight, talk to John Mullahan. Hey, John, this is Austin and Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you bring home a third place finish. You can't be mad at it. Still a lot of money and maybe not a lot of teammates up there. So how did you fend them all off there at the end and hold on to a podium?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank Ryan Baste. You know, he spent a lot of time on my rear bumper tonight. He did a phenomenal job. He's grown so much as a driver, and none of that would have been possible without him behind me tonight.
Well, now that you've captured a third place finish and a lot of money, it's got to spark a little bit of momentum. And with as much chaos as we saw here tonight, does it kind of change the approach that you want to take for these races moving on to next week?
No, I mean, I run the same approach every week, man. I'm shooting for the top, and anything less than that is a failure. But you know, racing is peaks and valleys, and you know, I feel like I'm coming back out of a valley. Had a rough couple week stretch, and I'm heading back towards the peaks again.
Certainly appears that way. Good run for you tonight. Brandon McCall Motorsports, another podium. Hey, before we let you head out, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Oh, man, first and foremost, Michael Triscaro for putting this show on, you up in the booth, everybody over at Team McCullough tonight, Ryan Baste, Garrett Maines, Andrew Navarro for being a hell of a race car drivers, everybody over at Canal Valley KM5, Will Jory Alone, Jackson Carter, my old lady Brittany, and anybody else I'm forgetting. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the rapid fire that you just put off those shout-outs. That's pretty impressive. All right, thanks for talking to us, John. Congrats again on the third place finish, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and looking for your second place finisher, Andrew Navarro. Doesn't look like he's popped in the boot just yet, so we'll go ahead and move on to your race winner here tonight. Garrett Maines, Dawson White stands by.
Yeah, stand by with our winner tonight, Mr. Garrett Maines. Garrett, it's the boys in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, what a finish. You go elbows out there at the end, make some contact, but hey, nonetheless, you come across first, and man, we have seen you try to get this win for so long. You finally get it. The weight's off your shoulders. First off, how does it feel?
Well, it feels like I actually kind of lucked into it there at the line because that was Andrew's to win, and I don't know whose net code it was. That was part of the debate after the race, but I got pulled straight up the track. I thought they were wrecking and that I was about to die because it literally just hooked me straight up the racetrack. But got lucky that we kept it going straight, and I ended up literally right where I needed to get the push. So definitely happy to finally be in the right position. Even if it wasn't the perfect position, we ended up there. So happy to finally get it done.
Absolutely, and it's a marquee win for you now. It's a win in a major event, and it's I gotta imagine it's a weight off your shoulders. I mean, you told us time and time again when we'd see you finish second, we'd see you get involved in an incident right at the end, and you kept telling us, it's gonna come, and tonight it finally does. So just kind of take me through where this takes you, going forward. You've got that win now. You got the monkey off your back, if you will, and you can now move forward and go back to the dominant form that we're used to seeing out of you.
Yeah, it definitely, it's not a curse anymore, that's for sure. So I think we can get up here more often. The nice thing is, we've been recently, at least, finishing, consistent up front. Just, obviously felt like I kept getting robbed of an opportunity to win. But, tonight, it was our night, and this is a good night for it. This is probably the best night in a long time. So happy to add one to the tally.
Well, absolutely. So it's a marquee win for you tonight, a major event here in the fall. Brawl, so while we've got you here for a second, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Huge shout out to John Mullahan there for the phenomenal pushing, and same thing to Andrew, because both of them helped make that happen there at the end. So big thank you to them, and also huge thank you to Scott at MCU Body, Lennox, the guys at Ryko for all of their help this season. Definitely excited to get back in it next week.
All right, well, congrats on a fantastic run tonight. A big victory for you here in the fall. Brawl, go enjoy it, go celebrate, and we will see you next week.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And doesn't look like we got Andrew Navarro anywhere to be found. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to hear from your second place driver here tonight. So on that note, we will go ahead and wrap up our coverage of the 2023 Fall Brawl. Dawson, the race in itself, a little messy, really aggressive, but nonetheless, it was a great finish, and I had fun.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you always have fun in a big race like this. You can tell it always has a big race feel to it, and this had the same feel that the SummerSlam did. Obviously, a little bit different angle for me from being on the racetrack, but I know what these guys were feeling. You're amped to get into a race like this, and man, it delivered in a big way. This finish, I mean, you just can't beat it. 5 wide at the line, basically. You cannot beat that at all. And for Garrett Maines, that's a win he's been waiting on for a very long time, and now he's got the pressure off his back, and he can really start to move forward and begin to be the dominant self that we're used to.
Thank you all so much for coming out. That'll do it for Austin Green, Dawson Wise, and Matthew Baker in the booth tonight. We will be back next week. Make sure you tune in. Until then, have a good night.